What up, though? This is Knockouts and Three Counts. But before we bring you another episode of Podcast Gold, let me tell you about the homies over at Michigan's Finest. Do you ever find yourself trying to get yourself together and thinking, man, this is going to be a great night, but I'm looking for that little extra something? Well, check out our friends at Michigan Finest. If you are into medical marijuana, recreational marijuana, concentrates, vapes, anything of that sort, Michigan's Finest has got you covered. And as you can see here, it's all easily done by their website. It's all curbside, and you'll be in and out in 2 minutes. And they're family owned and operated, so customer service is their number one goal. And now, since they are rocking with Knockouts and Three Counts, use the code KO3MF. Yes, that's KO3MF. You get 10% off your entire order, but that does exclude featured items and items that are already on sale. But if you use that code, you're getting 10% off your items, and I promise you, either if you're looking for that big knockout or you're ready to hit the sheets for that 3 count, Michigan's Finest will get you together. Tell them Knockouts and 3 Counts sent you, and I promise you, you're going to be having a great night. Peace.
This is the Ring of Honor, a.k.a. Shane T, boy, the baddest champion you ever seen, boy.
This is Mr. Anderson.
This is good old JR Jim Ross, and you are listening.
You're listening to Knockouts and 3 Counts.
Cover! We got a new world champion!
That might be one of the craziest knockouts I've ever seen in my life.
Knockouts and 3 Counts is the podcast, baby! It's the real deal, baby!
Knockouts and 3 Counts starts now.
Ooh, what up, though? It is another Tuesday. This is Knockouts and 3 Counts, and I'm done stuffing my face with taco rings, so it's time to hit the motherfucking button. So, fresh off of this past weekend and Corey's big debut on commentary, we got Chase Kuebler off of his big win at Lights Out Championship 11. How the fuck you doing, brother, man?
Oh man, it feels great. I'm doing pretty good, honestly. Little bruise here or there, but besides that, we're doing awesome, man.
Well, I mean, shit, you were in and out, dude. I mean, you couldn't have really had much of a better way to get in and out for a pro fight, huh?
Yeah, we thought we were going to get it done in the first round, but yeah, once I seen Jamal Hill in this corner, I was like, well, fuck, this is going to be a fun night. I already got to know, I already figured I got a bang. I looked right at my coaches before, and once I seen him in a cross, I was like, all right, this is going to turn into a war real quick.
Whenever you see your opponent with like that kind of dedication in their corner and stuff, right? Like,
yeah.
I believe it was the fight after you, Benson Henderson was out cornering a guy, and it's like, man, dude traveled all the way here just to corner you. Like, you know, like that's lofty expectations both on them and on like from an opponent's point of view. Like, man, there must be a lot of faith in this kid if this dude's willing to travel all the way out. The Jamal Hill thing may have been a little different because he was at the event already, but still just being willing and there to have that type of assistance in the corner, man. It had to have been a crazy thing to look across the ring and see you got the champ, you know, cheering on and coaching your opponent. It's got to be a crazy feeling.
Oh, yeah. It's like one of those things like you look first, and it's like you almost do like one of those double takes. It's like you see him, you're like, is that who I – no, that's not him. And then I look at my coaches, I look back, I'm like, well, shit, I guess we're going to bang then.
It's wild, man. Oh, a little bit of camera issues there, Kyle?
Yeah.
So taco rings, bro.
Yeah, my cord got all jacked up. Don't mind me. But with that being said, you know, not only that, we know from our partner for the night, the beautiful Adair Brierly, who I didn't know was going to be joining us, man. She's super experienced, number one. Number two, she was telling us that guy also trains with Kevin Holland as well. So, I mean, you were definitely going against somebody who's in there with great people in the training room. But speaking of the training room, that was one of the things I wanted to ask you about. I mean, I know you're training over there at Detroit Jiu Jitsu alongside another guy who was on the card, and Abe AlSaghir, who had big win in his pro debut. Tell me a little bit about training over there at Detroit Jiu Jitsu. Why Detroit Jiu Jitsu? I know, are you training at Michigan Top Team too, right?
Yeah, yep. I'm also at Michigan Top Team as well. I go there. I try to get in there twice a week, and then I'm at Detroit Jiu Jitsu for 4 days out of the week. But the reason why Detroit Jiu Jitsu, I was mostly doing a lot of my camps and a lot of my time at Michigan Top Team. And one day, Darius Estelle and a few other guys were mentioning Detroit Jiu Jitsu to me, and I knew about them just from the grappling scene and stuff like that. And I went over there one day. They beat the absolute hell out of me, and I thought I was a good grappler. But they all kind of tried to give it to me, and then I was giving it back to some of their guys, and they're like, okay. But the one that really got me to stay there was Anthony Fawaz, and that's my guy to this day. I will do anything for that guy. He's done so much for me. But he came up to me, and he was like, Chase, I've seen you around. I see the work that you do. He's like, I'm finally happy you came to be a part of the team. He's like, now you can start getting your talents up there. I felt like I was always a guy that, like, was good, but always in, like, a place where I just had to use athleticism or make up stuff on the fly, and I kind of didn't really know the basics or the techniques that I should have been at where I was at that point in time. And with this team, it was almost like, oh, we're starting you over almost. Even though I was already a purple belt going in there, and now I'm a brown belt to them. But it felt like it was almost like a resurgence and a completely new awakening.
Well, dude, I know you guys just got a whole new facility over there and things like that. So, I mean, you're getting a lot of good knowledge, not just from Fawaz and the guys over there at Detroit Jiu Jitsu, like you said. I mean, you know, Darius Estelle's also a fellow past guest of the show with us too. I mean, you've got Darren Cruikshank over there, you know, yep. Cody Stamen when he's home. You got a lot of good guys over there at Top Team too. So I mean, it's a good team for you guys both to be in there. Talk to me a little bit about what camp was like over there with the fact that you and Abe were both training you know, for a fight. And I mean, you guys seem to have quite the chemistry in the training room.
So me and Abe, like, I met him a little bit after he got done with basic because he was in the Army and stuff. And Ali, I knew him 6 months prior to him coming home. So Ali was hyping him up and talking about his cousin. And I was like, all right, cool. I can't wait to meet him whenever he comes back. One day I'm at MTT and all of a sudden I see him holding pads for a guy. And I'm like, oh, this guy can crack. He knows what the hell he's doing. I'm like, all right, this is cool. So I go over there and talk to him. Ever since then, like, me and Abe just been, like, with each other forever. He's almost like a little brother to me now. Like, we've been training with each other. So once he decided to pull the trigger and want to do MMA and give it a shot, I wanted to give him everything I could because he's done the same with me for grappling and everything else. I felt like it was only fair. So we did his first camp. Everything went good. Then the second and third, he asked me to stay on and keep on helping him. We were just kind of doing our jiu-jitsu, you know, at Detroit Jiu Jitsu. We really didn't have too much of an idea of an MMA program and stuff. We were just starting to get into it. Ali was our striking coach and everything before Tony had jumped on to help us as well. And then we would do all of our rounds and have the guys at MTT guide us and direct us through Darren, Bobby, and some of the other guys that were getting ready for fights because they had a lot of fights going on at the time. And I was just there to help Abe and help him stay ready for this. And then through that, this is actually how I came back into even fighting. Because at that point, I didn't even want to, like, I was just trying to lift weights. I already had a fight. I lost. And when I cut to 55 for that one, I felt like I was getting hit by a Mack truck. I cut way too much weight. And every time the guy would jab me or hit me with something, I would just feel rocked immediately. And I'm like, this ain't it. Like, I don't want to do this sport if I'm just worried about cutting weight or doing it a month and a half out. So after 2 years ago, May 7th, when I took that fight, I was like, screw this. I'm going to lift weights. I'm going to get bigger and have fun with this sport again. So I got out of the sport. Anthony, Ali, and them seeing how good I was doing and how well I'm doing in the room, and not just the grappling tournaments, but in striking as well. And they would always pick at me. They'd be like, hey, you know, you and Abe are competing. Abe's 3-0. You know, you're always hanging with them. You're always doing these rounds and stuff. You're teaching them this grappling. You're one of the best guys in the room. And they would always cultivate that in me and always, like, tell me how good I was. And I'm like, yeah, thanks. You know, I'd kind of brush them off or walk away. I'd be like, yeah, whatever, you know. And they kept on picking at me. And then finally, not this show that they just had this Saturday, but the one before that, they finally like, hey, let's do this. Let's see if you can do this. I believe in you, Chase. I think you can really go out there and still have a career, and you can do this. You just got to believe in yourself. We all believe in you. I'm not trying to let you be that person that has what ifs. You could have been this. You could have been that. And I was like, you know what? You guys believe in me this much. I think this is time to, like, make a comeback and see what we can do with this.
Well, tell me about that going into the fight. That was another thing I wanted to ask you about. I mean, where was your head at coming into that fight, coming off a layoff like that too?
I think now going into it, I was well prepared. I think everything was ready to go for the fight. But you still have that back in the back of your head, like, do I really have this? Everybody's telling me, everybody's trying to, say you have all the skills, you have everything else. But in the back of your head, there's always that thing that's like, do I really have what it takes to do this? And it was literally the week of the fight on Tuesday, and I was like, oh, this is mine. This is my fight now. And it was almost like it sounds cliche and silly, everybody says it, but there was like a wall broke. And as soon as that wall broke, I was like, it's time to go out there and have fun. The main idea for this camp, and I said it the whole time, is I just want to dance. I just want to go out there and move. All I have to do is use my footwork, move around, and try to cut these angles. As soon as I cut these angles, have fun with it. We have the skill. I can be a champion. Now it's time to just cultivate that.
And so, with that being said, I mean, so now that puts you at 1-1. You had a good fight here with Lights Out. I mean, how soon are you looking to get back in the cage? Are you trying to? Is there things that you saw in that fight that you want to work on? What what do you want to see next? And what were your thoughts on the fight itself and how it went?
The fight itself, definitely a tough fight. That guy was really ready to go in there. Antoine was very solid. Like, my coaches, didn't want to hype him up or anything until afterwards, but they were really like telling me afterwards, hey, this was not an easy fight. This is a guy who really knew what he was doing, especially with this camp he had, obviously. But I felt like that was one of my best performances, especially with the striking. Like, I felt really confident with my hands to let it go and everything else. And not to mention the fact that, like, I have this now in my head. It's like, hey, you're a Detroit Jiu Jitsu brown belt. You can really go out there, take this to the ground, and let's just do some work now. So I think the next step, I want to fight in August or September. That's going to be the plan, because I would say July. I would want to go in a little bit earlier, but my girl, she's in medical school right now. She's actually taking boards in July. She was there for me for this whole entire camp and trying to help me get ready for this fight. The least I can do is be there for her for boards and during her medical school.
Yeah, got to give the support when needed. That's for sure.
Yes.
Corey, well, I mean, what were your thoughts on the fight? You were sitting cage side with me, man. I mean, that was, your first time doing commentary and all that stuff. What were your thoughts on Lights Out Championship 11?
Well, thoughts on the night, I guess we'll start there. Very entertaining. As everybody has always, like, I don't know if you in particular, but everybody that's ever listened to any of the interview guys or anybody that does commentary and does interviews about it, they always say the craziest thing is how close it is, how different it feels with the closeness and stuff. I mean, I'm looking up at fighters staring each other down, and you can feel the intensity through their eyes differently than you could if you were just 10 feet back in one of the seats. Even if you were in one of the close seats, it just feels different. And so the commentary thing was real cool. Getting my voice heard on the mic there for a little bit was pretty cool, even though I feel like I just was trying my best to add and not subtract from the great combo that you guys did in Adair and Kyle here. But as for your fight, Chase, like I had walked up to you after, man, I had said you could tell it was a tough fight, and you could, like I was saying even before we went live, his footwork was real good in the beginning, and I don't know if it was a body shot that you landed on him or something, but you could tell his cardio just got gassed all of a sudden. There was like this one moment in the fight where it just like sunk out from under him, and he realized, oh shit, this isn't necessarily going my way. And that corner turned for you so quick, and you just started to really pour it on from there. And it was just such an entertaining fight, man. It really was. And that's how I felt with all of the Lights Out card, honestly. Like I had said on the commentary, the fact that we had only made it to a third round twice throughout the night that's a pretty good sign of an entertaining fight card.
Can I just say, after the last fights, like, I find it funny that out of all the 11 fights for the last card that I called on Spectation Sports, that Spectation Sports was ready and able and willing to hear me call a nut shot. And we went through 11 fights, and I think there were like no nut shots in the whole.
I think we might have got one later on.
I don't know, dude. I don't think we had one. So I just found that to be pretty funny that out of 11 fights the last time, all they pick out is me calling a nut shot. And literally, you see the clip, and all you hear is "ooh, nut shot," and that's what they caption the shit too. And I'm like, what the fuck? Really? We call 11 fights?
They were probably waiting for the clip when that eye poke happened. They were like, "Oh, give us another line, please. Give us something."
We need another one.
I mean, look, bro. So far, from everything I've heard, we've been getting good reviews on everything we've heard so far. So they must be liking what
That was
the fuck
another
they're
thing.
hearing.
I was trying not to say nothing too stupid or swear on that fucking mic so damn bad.
This is probably hard, man. You're talking all the time.
So,
you guys are getting excited too.
I mean, we had quite the day too, or at least I did. I got a text from Friendo about 8 o'clock in the morning. Hey, Bobby can't do it. So then it was going to be me and Bobby Nash from Bellator, and Jamal Hill was supposed to do it. And then Bobby hit me up about 3:30 and didn't want to do it. And then I'm like, well, fuck. I was like, this is a little close. So Corey got through into the fire last minute.
You guys straight up through the audible. You guys were like, all right, I got to go figure out something real quick.
I was straight off the plane from Myrtle Beach the night before. I didn't get home till like midnight. So, yeah. fill in. That's for damn sure.
Hey, man, it worked out good, man. We had quite the three-leg booth with Adair jumping in. It was good times. It was definitely not a bad time. But with that being said, you talk about how you felt in the fight. You talk about your striking and all these things that you thought went well. One of the biggest things that somebody can have in a fight is a good gas tank. That's that's like having money in the bank. Speaking of having money in the bank, make sure you check out our sponsors at G3 Payroll and Tax. Make sure you tell them Knockouts and 3 Counts sent you, get your accounting together, all that good shit. I promise you they'll get you together. Tell them we sent you. But with that being said, like I was saying, cardio is money in the bank. You were telling us before we went live, how in the fuck do you fight in MMA with one lung, dude? What the fuck?
Hey, so going back to that.
Well, run us through the story for.
All right, I'm gonna run you through the whole entire story because I'm gonna even build it up like it's the whole thing. So when I'm gonna go back to what you were saying earlier, when you could see the change in the fight almost because he had beautiful footwork. Antoine was ready to move and like exactly when he hit that body shot from the kick, it was all from his movement. So I was trying to set him up to go to that same side so I could throw the left body kick too. And he caught me before I could even go because he just had the quicker feet right there in that exchange. And especially it's almost like chess a lot of times when you think about like fighting, everybody takes their turns, right? His footwork actually got him ahead, so I couldn't take his turn like I try to do with a lot of people. So that being said, he hits me with the right hand. And for a second and a half, I go back and I'm immediately back to him because I knew if I could break the pressure or keep it going, that cardio that we talked about earlier is what I think changed the fight. I don't think it was so much the strikes or anything else, but I think it was the pace that I set that actually broke him more than anything. And no disrespect to him, but that's just what I feel like personally got it, is where I started just touching the whole time is where it started lining up the elbows because once I started touching, everything opened from there. But as for the one lung, all right. So when I was I think I was 15 or 16, I was in high school wrestling. It was my junior year going into my senior year. I was at, what was it? It was like the Michigan Open. It was just a bigger tournament or Macomb County tournament. That's what it was. And I'm at Anchor Bay. We're wrestling, and I'm wrestling this guy from Alma. His dad's there watching, so I know he's all hype and everything else. I'm beating the guy really bad. I'm body locking him, taking him down, pushing down the head, just really working the dude. So I'm in the third period. It's 11-1 or 2, and the dude's on top of me. I hit him with a switch. We end up going scrambling a bit. Cool. He stands up, gets another point or something like that. I'm about to tech him. I take him down again. I'm on his back. He's flattened out. He immediately throws an elbow and just starts smashing the elbow into the top of my head. I'm like, well, shit. And I just ducked my head. I'm like, I don't know what to do at this point. So I just ducked my head. The ref throws him off of me and he's like, what the fuck are you doing? Just completely yelling at the kid. In my head, I'm laughing. I'm looking at his dad like, what the hell? So I win the match off DQ, even though I was going to win the match anyways. I walk off the mat. They take me up. A few days go by. it was really cold and we were doing something stupid as a wrestling team. I remember like the heat was out when we were still training. I get sick and I get pneumonia. From those elbows, I get staph in my head. And I'm like, well, this is my first dealing with staph. I don't know what's going on, along with having pneumonia. Now, I'm at home and I didn't want to bother my family. I was kind of feeling sick. I wasn't feeling great. And I was raised like, you know, when you're hurt or something like that, you don't really complain. You just kind of let it happen.
Get over
I
it.
understand.
Yeah, get over it.
Yeah, you don't want to bother mom or dad. You don't want to make them think you're sick or something, or have them take you to the hospital when you don't
I
think that
trained
money.
with Crohn's disease, dog. I didn't never want nobody to know I was hurt. So
Exactly. See, so you don't want to complain. You don't want to be that guy that's complaining, especially when you're a young kid and you're trying to be tough. You know. So I would go through the day, and it would be me going from like 104-degree fever down to 95, and I would be bouncing up and down. And that happened for 3 days, excruciating pain, everything else. I'm like, well, the one night I couldn't sleep at all. I wake up my mom and I'm like, hey, we need to go to the hospital now. And she's just like, what's going on? I'm like, I don't know. We need to go. So they get me to the hospital. I pass out on my way to the hospital. I wake up in the emergency room in a bed, and they're like, I remember the doctor talking to my mom, and they're like, yeah, he might die right here. So whatever you want to do or whatever you want to say to him, make sure you say it to him now when he wakes up. They put me on Dilatin, I think it is. It's like the stronger or the parent version of morphine. And I'm in there just zonked out. I'm remembering certain things. I'm looking at the curtains, making shapes with it, seeing imaginary football players playing football. There's a dude across the way from me, and he had got shot that night. And I'm at like Dearborn Hospital before they flew me to Henry Ford. And I'm talking to him across the yard. I'm like, what's up, brother? We got to stay strong, dude. I said, we got to work hard, out there. And he's like, what the hell is going on with this kid? I'm so zooted. So I go to Henry Ford now, and I'm starting to kind of figure out what's going on and everything else. I'm coming out of this high, and they're like, hey, your lung completely collapsed. Your bronchial tubes are eating on your left side. You basically are running on one lung right now. I lost how much did I weigh? I lost about 20 pounds in the hospital. I was already around 145 or 160 for that season. I got all the way down to 142. I was yellow. Like they had to put like 2 IVs in me at the time. And I was in the ICU for about 2 weeks. And then I finally made it out. They were surprised. And they're like, just talking. They're like, you're probably not going to be able to do sports ever again. They're like, it's just going to be way too hard. You only have one lung. We don't want you to get hurt or anything like that. But I remember the one thing that actually, not only was it my junior year going to my senior year, I wanted to finish my senior year wrestling. And, that was the one thing that I really look forward to was wrestling. It's the one thing that, I would make my parents drive me to every practice. If there were summer programs or anything like that, I wanted to compete. I wanted to have those matches. Like I'd have my grandfather drive me in his truck all the way out to Almont so I could wrestle or anything like that.
Yeah, whatever.
And I was like, I just can't. I can't let it up. This is my identity at this point, and I just wanted to compete and just be around those people, especially being very socially awkward. Like this was my time to like make friends and everything else. So I remember they did a echocardiogram and they were checking my heart, and the one doctor, she said something, and it still sticks to me to this day. She said, you have one of the most healthiest hearts I've ever seen in my life. She said, it looks like a lion. We just did a Lions football player. She says, your heart and your muscles in your heart are like the same as him. And I'm like, in my head, I'm like, I can't quit. There's no way. I was like, I'm good that I got all this stuff. And I don't know why that sticks out. It's just so silly. But she was like, you got the heart of a linebacker. And I'm just like, oh shit, that's cool. And like, it kept on playing. So I go home a week and I'm not in school yet. And I finally go back to school. Now, I used to run all the time. I used to skip classes and go run. I'd run like 7 miles a day because I used to be a heavyweight, which I could tell you guys about that too. I used to be a really, really fat kid. And I get to school. I'm in JROTC, and I used to run all the PT and all the physical training classes. So like on Fridays, we would do like gym. So I'm going there. I'm about to run. I'm like, hey, guys, we're running a mile. They're like, okay. My teacher said, all right, don't do anything. Just hang out. I was like, okay. So she leaves. As soon as she leaves, I start running with everybody. So I finished the mile, harder breathing, couldn't even breathe anymore. I fall down, I pass out at Central High School. I'm just out on the ground. I wake up, breath's back to normal, and I just keep doing it. Like every day, I would just keep running or keep doing the cardio or I would make sure I got to a wrestling class or something like that, breathing heavy. But with that being said, now I feel like that's why my cardio is so much better, because when they do x-rays or check it out now, that muscle or that lung on my right side just fills up my whole entire rib cage. And then I feel like there's no incorrections with the breathing, where sometimes they'll go out of rhythm. I feel like it's just one big breath. Now, mind you, it might be pseudoscience and it might be not real, but in my head, I'm like, I got the cheat code now. That's why my cardio is better than everybody's.
I mean, for your sake, I hope that's the case. I mean, I hope I hope that works. But I mean, either way, that's a wild story, though, to be able to, I guess, be able to push through all that and still be out there. It is, though. You hear all the time with people that are struggling with stuff like that. If you're able to adapt and overcome, sometimes you're really able to push through that type of stuff and learn that, hey, maybe I am stronger than what I even once was before, just because I'm able to adapt over this type of stuff.
Right.
Well, I mean, it's a matter of the cards you're dealt. Like when I had stomach surgery, I had something similar, except I was training for a jiu-jitsu tournament, and we turned all the fans off, and we were all trying to cut weight and all that. And I thought, with my Crohn's, I thought it was just flare up, whatever. But I got like extremely lightheaded, and I'm just like, wow, what the fuck is going on? I know something's not right, but I just feel I just felt all tingly and weird. Went and sat down off the mat, and next thing, go to the doctor later on that day, and he goes, because it felt like somebody was stabbing me from the inside out, like from my stomach, when I had to go get my stomach surgery, and they took out my appendix and 6 inches of my small bowel. I'll never forget Don calling me at the hospital being like, damn, I got to give you credit. You've never bitched about being hurt. That might be the only time I've ever heard you say you were hurt. And now look, he goes, now I feel like a fucking asshole. Well, I mean, dude, it's the truth. Like, I mean, growing up with CP and Crohn's, I never complained about being hurt. Like, if I told you I was hurt, I was probably hurt. So I can totally relate on the shit just getting from 0 to 60 out of nowhere. So yeah, dude, that's a hell of a story. Definitely shows perseverance, and getting into the cage and still being able to do that with one lung is something that's nuts. Well, now that we've talked a little bit about your fight and all those things that went down, bro, did you see the wars that we had go down at BKFC this weekend too?
Bro, Mike Perry and then who was it? Luke Rockhold?
Dude, he busted up Pretty Boy's teeth, huh?
Bro, like all right. So I knew they were messed up, and I seen part of it. But the thing that really did, there was a video he did afterwards, like saying congratulations to Mike Perry and everything else. But him just going like this and showing exactly how bad, dude, he broke half of his tooth. It's not like a chip or like sometimes you see the small breaks. Dude had like a snaggle tooth, like fucked up bad.
Yeah, full, like, that had to have been, them nerves had to have been a tingling. Like, if you've ever anybody that's ever dealt with any type of tooth pain, I don't know if a fight adrenaline will get you through that one, because that's you just breathe, you just get any type of breath or wind or anything go past that tooth nerve. Ooh,
hey, you're not lying.
Type of pain, bro.
For real, I feel you on that. Seriously, it's like just put an ice cube against your teeth and have it there for like a few minutes, bro. You're gonna be screaming. That shit hurts, bro, hands down. Or even even the Michael Chandler and Eddie Alvarez fight. Or not Michael Chandler. I'm sorry. It was Chad Mendes. Chad Mendes and Eddie Alvarez, and then Eddie Alvarez hitting a fucking counter and then hitting that uppercut. That shit was cold. Like, that's a highlight reel.
Yeah, that's something for sure. Like you say, add to the highlight reel for sure. That was the fight, honestly, like looking back at the card, that I was looking forward to the Mike Perry fight just as much, but I thought that one would be like what I thought should have been the main event. I thought it was going to be the banger of the two. And sure enough, it was. I mean, it went to a decision, but that was just because both guys were too damn tough. They both got knockdowns on each other. Both stood back up.
And Chad Mendes retired, dude.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, and he had even talked about it before that he didn't even really want to take another fight, but then they offered him freaking Eddie Alvarez, and he's like, "What am I going to say no to a fight like that? Like, that's a tailor-made, like, two classic, like, fan favorite fighters that are in there to like put on a show, and that's exactly what happened, man.
Well,
It was a huge night for BKFC, and we've had a couple of their champs and stuff on the show and stuff like that, and to see the continued
Past
growth
guest of the
and
show
stuff.
got a dub on that bitch too, man.
Yeah. Shout out Christine Faria, but it just to see the continued growth for these guys, man. It's cool to see. You see that their president Dave Feldman's really like investing a lot in the promotion and like actually doing his best by fighters and like pouring his heart into this shit to try to make it something that's, you know, growing. And I feel like it's really is building its case to be more widely respected. At least you get more cards like that where people are actually watching and everybody's saying that was the winner on Saturday when they had a UFC fight that they were going against, and that's the winner of the night. You know, you start doing stuff like that, man, people will start paying attention. That's for sure.
oh,
And I say that as a paying subscriber for like 2 years now for their app. So, but go on.
No. I'm completely agreeing with you, and to even add on to your point that you were stating, and I think that we even overlooked this just as a thought. There was a UFC fight that night too.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody's talking about that at all. Even in Michigan, and we had a Michigan guy fighting on there with Cody Brundage. Nobody brings it up. Nobody's talking about it. I mentioned, you know, I had to tell some of my teammates even, hey, you guys know Cody's fighting on this card, and it's a pretty good UFC card. They had I forget his name. There's a really good Brazilian 185 pounder that's awesome, and he fought
Bahayo.
Yes,
yeah, Bahayo. Yeah.
That crazy dude. He's one of the guys that, you know, one of the fun ones to watch. Not a peep from anybody. Everybody was talking about the bare knuckle fight, and that just proves like they're almost doing it like WWE. Like I feel like the way they promote and everything else, it's feeding into that fan base, which is awesome. Honestly, like now, mind you, not my sport. Those guys are insane. Let them do their thing. Honestly, that's too much. But the way they're promoting it, it's so much fun. Like even their snippets that they have on Snapchat, like I'll catch myself watching it and getting a loop and watching because they build their guys up to be like these superstars. Every single one of them, not even a regular person. They're all like this character or this person, which makes them really fun, honestly.
Yeah,
well, dude, and
definitely
the ones that can do that at a high level too is the thing. Like when you look at a guy like Chad Mendez and Eddie Alvarez, I mean, that's about as high a level as you're going to get that's getting in there. Or you get some of these boxers that are coming over there. Dude, it's just insane because like when you get guys that are that high of a caliber, and then like all I keep hearing from all the guys and girls that are fighting there, like Eddie Alvarez said it with past guest of our show, Jimmy Smith, yesterday. He said that he's more inclined to want to see BKFC win than any other promotion he's ever fought because Dave gives a shit about the fighters, and you can see how much he's invested of his own shit to make it grow. I mean, so they're like,
not to interrupt, but to the point where Eddie has an option. He signed a 1-fight deal, and he basically already said he wants to accept the option for a second fight because he was so happy with the way he was treated in the first. So go on, Kyle. But I feel like you don't hear that type of stuff every day from 1-fight contracts and shit.
Well, I mean, just the fact that he's saying that he would want to see them succeed more than any other promotion he's fought for. I mean, this is a guy that fought for UFC, Bellator, won. Like, he's literally fought for everybody. Dream.
He's fought for literally everybody. Yeah, Eddie's the mercenary for hire, and for him to be the guy saying words like that, yeah, man.
Bro, I was there the night that they had that fight, and he ran up the fucking stairs at Caesar's Windsor and shit in Bellator. So, yeah, dude, that was one of the fights that Fisher fought on. So, yeah, man, it was definitely a good thing to see Eddie Alvarez in there. I think he fits in there well. Like we said, shout out to past guest of the show, Christine Faria, picking up that dub and keeping that strap against Beck Rawlings. And then you got Ben Rothwell getting in there, which I've been seeing a lot of talk about him versus Alan Belcher. I would definitely not be mad at seeing that fight. I get down with BKFC. And if you guys are fans of the bare knuckle stuff, this Thursday, we got the return of Shark Week in this bitch. Mark the Shark Irwin is joining us before he fights for the BYB strap on May the 17th. Make sure you check that out. He'll be live with us this Thursday at 9 p.m. Well, with that being said, bro.
Always an entertaining interview.
I mean, look, the guy already wins best haircut and shit.
He always goes off. He'll probably have leopard spots in his hair. He will.
Of course he's gonna. What the fuck?
He'll definitely have the biggest rainbow glasses that you've ever seen in your life. They're beyond pit vipers, that's for sure. They're just bigger than that even. He'll do whatever he can to grab your attention off that screen. So make sure to join us Thursday for that one. That's for sure.
Who can't make the weight? Donald? Mark the Shark can never make. Oh, Rothwell. Oh yeah, he's talking about Rothwell. Okay. So, all right, Chase, yeah, I've got to get your thoughts on this. So this is what I keep hearing. You know, I saw a video that Alan Belcher put out that he says that he feels like the reason why Ben Rothwell won't fight him is because when they used to train together at Rufus Sport, even when Belcher was walking around at 205, 210, he was piecing Ben Rothwell up. And so that he thinks that Ben Rothwell doesn't want to make 265, so he has an excuse because he keeps saying that he wants to fight because his last couple fights, Ben Rothwell has been around like 285, 295. And so he's saying he don't want to make it at 265, and Belcher's like, fuck you. If we're fighting for the belt, you got to make 265.
Right. I mean, I feel like that would be the thing. If you're going to call somebody out, especially talking about gym stuff, so like I think there's always like that rule. Like you don't talk about like what happens in the gym. I feel like that personally. And I feel like a lot of UFC guys have been doing it lately to build fights, which it does make it interesting sometimes, right? But it should not be from the fighters. Now, if it's generic or you hear the stories and stuff, I think that's fair. And it's more fun that way too, because then it becomes like a rumor and you want to know yourself. But when a fighter's talking about it himself, it's kind of corny, bro. You're a shitbag. Like, at least in my opinion. It's like let's say Bobby, for instance. Fucking, you've seen me and him go at Fuse and everything else. That's like him coming out of nowhere and being like, oh yeah, I used to beat Chase's ass. It's like, okay, and like, why are you bringing this up? There's no point. Whatever happens in the room.
But do you think it's different though when they're trying to set up a fight and you're the guy trying to fight the champion and you don't want to make the weight though?
To a point. Now, if he's being kind of a dick about it, like in Rothwell's perception.
Now, again, to be fair, I'm just going purely off of what we saw in the video from Belcher. So I mean, like I said, anybody that hears this, yeah.
I also think another aspect of it too is BKFC. Basically, all of their heavyweight bouts are contested at 285. So. Their weight class, because they're technically boxing, is whatever they want to make it compared to where the UFC is 265. I know that's the standard and that everybody kind of like leans on that, but that is what they do looking back throughout a bunch
on the flip side though, if I'm Belcher, I don't mind saying that you need to make it either.
Yeah, it's smart for Belcher. Like at the end of the day, it's smart. Like, and then not only that, but it builds that stereotype. So if he loses, oh, well, he's got this weight. He's got this weight that he never cut, and I told him to cut it. You should do this. He's got that advantage over me. So if he loses, that's always like the thing that would run through my mind. But in Rothwell's case, it's like, bro, you're calling me out. You're saying all this stuff about me. You're bringing up these gym wars that we had, or you're better than me in that situation. Then I feel like he doesn't have to, like, in my opinion. But if I'm on the other side, yeah, you need to cut the weight. Why? Number one, it's an advantage. Number two, I have that in the back of my mind. Even if I lose or something happens, I have an automated excuse. And that way it doesn't make me lose any clout, or it doesn't make me lose any pay too, which is the biggest thing. Right. That way I can be like, oh, well, I stepped up to fight this dude who's so much bigger than me. And that's just something that I would think about.
Especially for somebody like Belcher, whose career has been at such lower weights, and now he has kind of, I don't know if the boy is juicy or not, but he's looking it in there and made his way up to heavyweight. He's still
pretty fucking quick for being that big, though. I'm gonna tell you.
Yeah, that's for sure. I mean, I'm not.
That boy can still box like he did at 185. That's for sure. Maybe he might not be as quick, but boy, that boy was moving for being a heavyweight. But he took some lumps against Arnold Adams. Well, speaking of fights, man, we've got the return of Triple C this weekend. So I figure before I let you get out of here, you can give us your thoughts on UFC 288. I'm so happy that we're getting this fight, but I almost still feel bad for Bilal Muhammad now that why can't they just give him just a straight up one-on-one chance? Why is there always got to be some bullshit? I mean, don't get me wrong. I like Gilbert Burns too, but man, this dude hasn't lost in like 5 years, and you keep throwing him in on this bullshit.
Mm-hmm. Dude, I agree with you. Honestly, that's the same thing. It's like I love Gilbert, but like Bilal's like that guy. It's like he kind of deserves it. It's like the whole thing they're doing with.
If he wins this fight, he better get the next title shot for fuck's sake.
Dude, I bet they probably have him rematch the guy who wins between Sean Brady, bro, and they're gonna be like, "Oh man, you're gonna fight this guy next," and it's like it would be nice to see him win, but they're doing the same thing they're doing to what's his name? Beneil Dariush.
Yeah.
Yep. 100%. They're doing the same thing. So personally, I don't think he's going to win against Gilbert. It would be nice to see him win, just as like a human thing. But like at the end of the day, I think Gilbert's going to be the champ after Colby wins it, because I think he's going to beat Leon, in my personal opinion. It would be nice to get a switch up and have Leon win, and then have that rematch, between Bilal, even if whatever happens, because then you can do the contender and then have the number one contender versus him, which would be kind of cool to see anyways, just because that's a good story. That's the biggest thing about that one. But as for that division in general, I feel like Gilbert gets it done. As soon as Gilbert's done, he waits. He's probably going to be the alternate for the weigh-ins and stuff after Colby and Leon. They'll probably do a promo, show a video of Gilbert just chilling there with this giant afro that he's getting now. I hope every fight that hair grows bigger and bigger.
A little bigger.
Bro, it's going to get awesome. He's going to have like a pick in it eventually when he's coming out there.
Oh, he already does, bro. He's got the bandana holding that bitch back, dude.
It's great though, man. I called him before his last fight. I was like, the mystical afro Gilbert Burns. I think he's going to be unbeatable now.
Bro, we talked about that with his teammate Mitch McKee from Kill Cliff MMA, who's getting ready to step back in that LFA cage soon. And dude, he's definitely somebody I want to bring on the show at some point. So definitely, Gilbert, if you hear this, we got to make that happen. Well, okay, so we kind of skipped the order a little bit. That since we started with the co-main event, Corey, what do you think? You got Gilbert Burns or you got Bilal Muhammad?
I think skill-wise, it'll probably be, like you said, Gilbert Burns. But I feel like Bilal Muhammad does have this, like, X factor, and he's also significantly improved his career fight over fight. I feel like every fight he's gone in there and done better things. If you look back a couple fights when he was beginning this win streak and stuff, he was less entertaining and more going in there to get just the win, and wasn't necessarily fully rounded in his skills yet. And if you flash back to like his Wonder Boy fight, yet again, he relied on his ground game, was able to ground him out, wasn't necessarily going for anything while he was down there, but was able to secure a victory. And now if you look at him in like the Sean Brady fight, it's a completely different version. I don't know if it was him training with Khabib that unlocked a little.
Definitely helped some.
I don't know if that unlocked a little bit of a new aspect to his game, or if he's just starting to turn that corner. But I kind of agree with you. I would love to see him eventually take on Leon with the whole eye poke ending that fight and stuff like that. I feel like that would be a fun way to see a rematch. But Gilbert Burns is a tough one, man. I feel like he's just a little power ball. He's so hard to hit. The afro is going to be in his favor.
Yep.
It's a tough one, man. It really is. I feel like Gilbert Burns is going to be able to get it done, but part of me wants Bilal Muhammad to get it done. So I lean Gilbert, but I don't know.
I want to see Bilal get the job done, dude, but I just getting off the couch to fight a guy like Gilbert Burns, and a Gilbert Burns who's already in shape because he just fought like 2 weeks ago. Yep. Man,
not even just getting off the couch, getting straight off of Ramadan into it too. That's a whole nother, that's a whole nother aspect to it.
It's tough,
being
dude.
Able to eat, not being able to drink, from sun up to sundown. That's a whole,
And being around all the people, like, sorry to cut you off, Kyle. Being around, like, to me, actually seeing Ramadan training, like, last year was my first year with, like, DJJ and really being around them. Dude, them during Ramadan, they get to where, like, it's almost mental. Like, they're really pushing through it. They're still training or doing stuff. And I don't see all of it. I only see them for, like, a few hours, obviously, with training. But, like, they are drained, like, mentally. Like, the physical part, whatever. But, like, you even have conversations with people, and it's almost like talking to a zombie at one point. Like, they're just, like, not there. Like, they can't compute it. There's no calories or energy in them at all.
Yeah, I work with a ton of Middle Eastern people in my job, and yeah, dude, it's the commitment that them people go through to do that to themselves and to show respect for their religion, man. That shout out to them.
Like I said, I think it's going to be a tough fight for him to be able to get off, to be coming off the couch to fight a guy like Gilbert Burns. Not to say that he's not training, but I feel like that's going to be the difference. But damn it, I want Bilal to win. Not that I got any problem with Gilbert Burns, but damn it, I just want to see the guy get a shot. But if I'm picking one, I'm probably going to go with Gilbert Burns on this one. All right, let's go. One of the fights that I feel like is underrated, you know, and I'm really kind of interested to see how it's going to happen, especially with, you know, the passing of one of the OGs and the godfathers to the Gracie family, is Kron Gracie versus Charles Jourdain. I feel like that's I really kind of am liking that fight. Like, if anybody who don't know, what up, though, Ali? How you doing, man? Look at Chase looking pretty out here. Yeah, dude.
He always messes with me, man. He always got to call me pretty. It's a good thing.
Hey, man, got to take you to the butcher shop right quick. But
bro, no. Yeah. Hey, the first time I got cut is because of that mug. We were wrestling, and I've never had stitches. We're wrestling. We're going around. And this is the going back to that fight that was 2 years ago. So I'm in training camp, getting ready to go. Or no, I was actually going out to see Sarah. She was in her first year of medical school. And I'm going out, I'm getting ready to go there next week. I'm all happy. We're wrestling, going hard. I have his back. He stands up, breaks my hand, slice immediately, face bust open. And I'm like, you gotta be kidding me. I'm about to go see Sarah. And so I take off my headgear. I'm all furious. I throw my headgear because I'm fighting in a month. I'm like, well, now the fight's called. Everything else, he immediately gets on the phone, thankfully. And my brother's like, Dr. Mike, you got to get here right now. You got to stitch him up. Bro, I'll have to send you guys a picture, but my cheek was open like this, bro.
Gotta love it. I had something similar with boxing, dude. My first year, freshman year of high school, bro, I was we had the Explorer, my first car, and I pulled down the hatch of it. Came right down across the tip of my nose, split my shit. I had a boxing match and all that. They go, yeah, we'll glue it. If we glue it, you'll be all right. They glued it. First time I went to spar after that, I'm in there moving around. First shot I took, shit. It's just bleeding like a geyser. I'm like, well, I'm not fighting nobody, apparently. So, yeah, I can relate. Well, I'm looking forward to that fight. I'd like to, you know, as a guy who has trained jiu-jitsu for so long, I really kind of would like to see Kron Gracie get him a dub in this one, dude. I'm not going to lie. I really would. I'd like to see Kron Gracie get a dub in his comeback here. This fight just is interesting to me. You guys got any thoughts on that one?
Yeah, I like both these guys. I'm happy to see Kron Gracie return. I feel like he kind of he came in there, made a real drop in the pool or whatever, made a real he got some attention, fought Cub Swanson, got beat up a little bit, and then all of a sudden just disappeared off the face of the planet. Did no interviews, didn't say anything, just was gone. And now here he is 3 years later or some shit and making his return. I don't know what I'm sure with the Gracie lineage and stuff he was training during that time. But was he rounding out his skills or was he just being a Gracie and working on his jiu-jitsu? That's what I'm kind of wondering going into this fight. That being said, he's taking on a real game dude in Charles Air Jourdain. Always a fun one, but he's one of those guys that is beatable, and I feel like if Kron Gracie is able to implement his game, really what I'm curious is, did he round out his skills that he was lacking in them years off, or did he just continue to be good at jiu-jitsu, which he was already really good at. You know, that's what I am most curious going into this fight.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think that's the big question. I think that's one thing that I was thinking about as well. Because like when you think of Crone, you think of how great his jiu-jitsu is, but his striking was like kind of lacking.
Yeah.
But it almost reminded me of a Ryan Hall. So like Ryan Hall, his jiu-jitsu sick, and then he kind of got some striking here or there. But like you've seen it towards like his last few fights, he really, really just tried to go 100% BJJ, which honestly got him knocked out.
Mm-hmm.
And when you look at Crone, I feel like they're trying to build him up because the UFC and Gracie go hand in hand. Anytime you think of the UFC, you automatically think Gracie's. That iconic scene where he's in the gi, gets his hand raised after beating, you know, and it just looks so good.
Bro.
Yeah, seriously. And it's just like, if they get him and they're trying to make him that guy, this would be the time. This is the one shot they have, especially because he's so good and he's marketable too. Like when he fought, what's his name? Alex Caceres? Yeah, I think that's what it is.
Yeah.
And he jumps off the cage to take his back like that. That was straight out cold. Like that's some UFC 4 type stuff. So if he hits some like high flyer stuff like that, he's the most marketable like submission guy I would say in the UFC besides the person that's fighting this Saturday, Bryce Mitchell. I would say those two back.
Bryce Mitchell's out.
Yeah,
he's out.
He's out.
Yo.
Bryce Mitchell's out. Undisclosed injury. He's out.
What? I just watched the first episode of the Embedded today. That's why I thought he was still out there.
Nope, he's out.
He's out, bro.
Oh,
today he's out.
Yeah, so wait a minute. Did you guys watch the Embedded yet? Or no?
I didn't get to see it, but yeah, he's out.
The purple
Court, you see it? Did you see that purple thing?
Yeah.
So that might have been it.
I was wondering what was going on with it, and then he was taking an ice bath out in the middle of the fucking field.
With the towels in there? Yeah, bro.
Like what the fuck's going on? I don't know. I don't
either. I don't either.
Character, and then to have that type of level of purpleness. Was he playing with some dye? Did he rob a bank and the dye bag go off on him or some shit? Because that shit was just purple. His whole shoulder was just purple.
Yeah, bright as hell too. It didn't look that. It almost looked like it had to happen like the day before, that day or something. It almost looked like he got kicked by like one of his animals.
Well, think about it, man. If they're hurt, you don't want to go in there hurt no more. Not after what happened to old boy with this whole fucking gambling shit. I wouldn't want to do that shit either.
No,
but
beyond that too, you don't even if you're in Bryce Mitchell's spot, he had so much hype going for him, and he lost that Taporia fight, and because of that, I feel like he really is in a spot where if he doesn't do something impressive in his next fight, or at least get a victory for sure, he loses all that momentum that he worked so hard to build up. And I feel like for a country boy like himself, it's not necessarily going to be the easiest thing to climb back up if he's unable to get a victory in his next fight. So if that is the case, if that was an injury, it honestly, it looked so purple. It didn't even look like an injury. It looked like something, but if that's the case, if you're that bad that your whole fucking body's turning purple on you, take a couple months, man. We'll see you, end of summer or some shit.
Well, speaking of fights that are going to be interesting, man, I mean, I feel like Jessica Andrade is pretty much on the door of another title shot. She's going to be fighting on this card as well. She's fighting Xiaonan Yan. I'm going with Andrade in this fight, dude. I go with Andrade most time that she's fighting. I think Xiaonan Yan is tougher than people are giving her credit for, but let's be honest, bro. I think if I'm picking this fight, I'm going with Andrade. I think she's on that short list on the way back to a title shot. But for me, it's Andrade in this one.
Yeah, that Blanchfield fight, though, that really surprised me, and it made me curious about was it a short notice thing with Andrade? Did she just not take Blanchfield seriously? I know it was a short notice thing and all that, but beyond that, I feel like Yao Xiaonan is not of that ilk, at least not from what I've seen. I feel like Andrade is just one of them balls of fury in there. And I feel like with Xiaonan's style, that's what she kind of does as well, as she goes in there and tries to outbox people. Andrade isn't really the person that you want to try to implement that game against. We'll see Saturday if she switched up the game plan and it's all of a sudden something different, but that's what I've seen from her in the past. And if that's the case, Andrade is probably going to eat her up, man.
Oh yeah, I would agree with that one because she's got that sneak power too. Like you can never forget that. Like even if she's getting beat up or something like that, she's got that like those short shots she can start landing. That's
She
when
can box and she can submit you.
Yes, would agree. And she almost reminds me of like a Rampage. A Rampage was back in the day, man. She still got that like I'll pop you and keep on going. Screw it.
Yeah.
All right, well, we got the main event, Aljo and Cejudo. Let's see if I can win some money off of Aljo on this one again. Fucking A, dude. You remember that, Corey? I won $175 off at DQ for Aljo while I was sitting in the tattoo chair, dude. So it was a good time. But we've got Aljo versus Cejudo. Henry Cejudo coming back off a long layoff, trying to pick up that belt. Man, this is a tough fight, dude. Because if Aljo wins this fight, and then let's say he beats Sugar Sean, dude, well then he's pretty much cleared out the division.
Yep.
So I don't know, man. But as far as this fight, something tells me we're gonna see a lot more striking in this fight, I think, than people think. And
who do you think's the better striker of the two, though? Because I've also thought that as well, that we may end up seeing more striking.
If Aljo can use his length, he's going to be a problem for Henry.
Yeah. I'd say he's more. I would agree. He's way more dynamic.
And that's what I think would be the difference in the striking. Like I think Cejudo is more explosive, but I think Aljo uses his range better, and I really feel like with Cejudo's wrestling and Aljo's submissions, it may cancel each other out. Plus, I also think there's something to be said for the fact that even though Henry Cejudo is who Henry Cejudo is, and yes, he's been training, he hasn't fought in how long? And Aljo's been champ for a little while now. So I do think that that's going to have something to do with it too. If I'm picking somebody in this fight, I want to say Cejudo, man, but I think Aljo gets him. I don't know that it's going to be a finish or anything like that. I think it's going to be a decision. But if I got to pick one, I think I'm going to go with Aljo.
I got to hear the guest's thoughts. What you thinking on this one?
Dude, you don't want to hear what I'm thinking. I got a story for you guys. And let me just build something real quick. And I'm going to be a conspiracy theorist on this one, all right? So
Let's get it.
This is what I've been thinking the whole time. And I don't know why, but this is like playing in my head. I think the reason why he's been talking about Sean, I think the reason, or O'Malley, and the reason why he's talking about chirping at Aljo and all these other guys, right, and keeping himself relevant is because he didn't even want to fight at 35. I think the UFC is making him fight for the championship at 35. And I hope this is what I'm thinking. I hope this is the reason why. Because they want him to fight Volkanovski. And I think that's the fight that he wants more than anything. But to prove himself and to prove that he can fight Volk, because Volk's done so much for the company and everything else, and they don't want to just throw in that guy. I think they want him to become the champion first, and his next fight is immediately going to be Volk. I don't even think he fights Sean. I don't think he fights anybody like that. I think they're going to make a super president, and his first words on the mic is going to be, "Where's Volk at? I want that dude."
Yeah. I mean, he's been – if you're talking about Cejudo, which I'm assuming you were in that equation, he's been calling out Volkanovski the whole time basically during his retirement, or at least for the last 2 years plus of his retirement. So, yeah, that absolutely is what I think is the case. I think they feel as though with Cejudo being originally a 125er, has the body and frame of somebody who could still definitely make 125. To make that jump, I know Volkanovski is not the biggest guy in the world, and their size would be still comparable. But to make that jump up 20 pounds when your frame is naturally that much smaller, I think that is true, that they want him to prove himself, bring some gold into it himself, so that he's got something to lose too.
Right.
So who do you got? You're taking Cejudo or you're taking Aljo?
I just in the fact that I want to see the UFC and this big show happen and like have a bunch of eyes on it, I think I would like to see Cejudo win. But if I'm being honest, I think Aljo gets it done. I really do.
All right, so that's 2 for Aljo. Who do you got, Corey?
Wow. See that surprises me that you guys are both analytically picking Aljo.
Don't get me wrong. My gut worries me with Cejudo because something
Yeah,
tells me he can
Cejudo's
just
a tough
wrestle fuck him.
matchup for anybody, man. He just is a gamer out there. He has the skills in wrestling, so he can always fall back in that direction. He's been shown to be able to knock people out and stuff like that. And he did it to one of the most elusive guys in the division who's still really good at 135 and Dominic Cruz. Like he put him out. So
Yeah.
I think there's real ways for Cejudo to win this fight. But all that being said, if anybody's watched this show for long enough, every time Aljo comes around fighting, I come rooting because I'm a big Aljo fan. I have been for a long time, ever since way before he won the belt. And that being said, man, like you say, Kyle, I am worried about this fight for him. I feel like what version of Cejudo do we see? Is it the world beater that we've seen in some of his fights? Did the 3-year layoff catch up to him? Did coaching and training all these top level athletes that he keeps bringing in and out of his own fight ready camp down in Arizona or whatever, did that just improve his skills and make him all around better as a athlete? With, like when you're training, he had John Jones in there. He had he's had like literally the who's who. He has Davison Figueiredo. He's had literally the who's who of the UFC in his gym personally training one-on-one with him. So I'm sure he's been able to work on a ton of his skills and stuff. So that's where the analytic side of me feels like it's a tough one. Aljo's best moves are his wrestling. It's his wrestling, his back pressure, his ability to find submissions from those spots. I feel like, to your point, that may nullify the whole Cejudo wrestling to a degree. Aljamain Sterling is my pick, but man, this is going to be. I really like this one as a fight. I am really curious what direction it goes. Is it going to be one of those things where somebody's winning and then all of a sudden Aljamain Sterling snatches up a submission in round 4 after getting grounded, pounded for 3 rounds? I genuinely don't know what direction it's going to go until the fight plays out, and that's what I always like to see especially with these big pay-per-view spots.
I don't know, man. I like it. Either way it goes, I'm looking forward to seeing this fight. We're going to be double screening it in this bitch because Backlash is on Saturday as well, live from Puerto Rico. We're going to see fucking Bad Bunny jump his ass in the pro wrestling ring again. Have to see what happens with that. And Brock Lesnar and Cody Rhodes, I, for one, am looking forward to seeing that. That'll definitely be worth watching, especially after watching Cody get the living shit beat out of him for 20 minutes when I was in LA. Like the whole rest of the show went off with that. So I don't know, man. A lot of good stuff to go down this Saturday. We had a hell of a time at Lights Out Championship last weekend. Make sure you check out the replay on Spectation Sports. Catch this man's handiwork with a rear naked choke. Chase, you got anything else for anybody before we let you get out of here, man? Any spoilers, picks, anything you got to get out there, social media, all that good shit?
Oh, man, with talking to you guys, it's been actually a wonderful time. I've been having a blast. And all this talk about WWE and everything else, you guys inspired me. I think for this next fight coming up, I'm going to bring out the Iron Sheik and work on my camel clutch. We're going to get a finish.
Yo, if you're a fan of the Iron Sheik, motherfuckers got to pay attention to the episode we got to do Sunday with WWE historian Keith Elliott Greenberg. You know, he's on all those A&E biographies and the WWE rivalry and all that shit. He was on Busted Open this morning on Sirius XM. He was on our show on Sunday. But with that being said, and we got you covered there, dude. If you're a WWE guy, man, do you got any WWE favorites before I let you get out of here?
Oh, man. I've been out of the game for a little bit. I was an old school guy. So the last one I really started paying attention to was Edge back in the day. I'm not even going to lie.
He's back, bro. What are you talking about?
He's back. See, I got to get back into it. That's why I'm talking to you guys.
Me. Smalls, he's back. He returned at the Rumble, won the Rumble, and then he just wrestled in a Hell in a Cell match in L.A. against Finn Balor. See?
Why didn't you guys tell me earlier? I'd already been watching WWE again, bro. You're going to tell me Iron Sheik's coming back for this next event.
Shit, I don't know about all that, but fucking Stone Cold came back and wrestled last year, bro. I mean, what the fuck? Hell is frozen over. That was 20 years, so you never know, man. Yeah, dude. I mean, I'm not gonna lie, being an Austin nut, I definitely was glad about seeing that. So hey man, Edge isn't a bad pick. Until next time in the in-between time, like I told you, like I said, this Thursday, 9 p.m., it's Shark Week in this bitch. Make sure you hit the subscribe button. Peace.